let's talk about the bonding bill. This is the short session normally devoted to bonding legislation. Requires 60% vote, as I'm sure our viewers know. We've covered this in a number of programs. Senator Thompson, let's start with you, and I want to share with you a comment that Representative Hausman had shared with us last week, or maybe it was the week before, but she was with us and discussed the bonding bill and noted that had the amount of the bonding bill kept up with inflation, that number would be about $1.5 billion, and this legislature is talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 billion. Including the amount from last year, and she believes that that amount is lower than it should be. So maybe you could address that issue for our viewers and also talk about the bonding bill generally from your perspective.
Sure. Well, there's much more to a bonding bill than the total gross amount of the bill. And that is, where are your priorities and what kinds of projects are you doing? And bonding is a legitimate function of government, obviously, because we bond or borrow, bonding is a fancy term for borrowing, to build infrastructure and things that are going to last over a period of time, so they get paid for by people over a period of time. But they're supposed to be projects that have statewide or regional significance, and we're not supposed to use the bonding bill for pork projects and that sort of thing. So my concern with the bonding bill is, what kinds of things are we doing? We should be doing roads and bridges, infrastructure kinds of things. We should be maintaining our buildings at our universities and those kinds of things. We should not be building facilities in towns and cities and places just to help a particular member of the legislature. So when I look at a bonding bill, I look not only at the gross size of it, but I look at priorities, and I certainly don't think that we should take pride in trying to grow the bonding bill as big as we can based on the rate of inflation or that sort of thing. I think we should be responsible with the taxpayers' money.
Well, and I'd have to say that the capital investment bill over the past several years has not been sufficient, and that's the reason that we have a real big backlog of projects that are being proposed. We have only about $1 billion that we can appropriate through the bonding process, and there's over $4 billion worth of requests. So we have to prioritize and make sure we're picking the right priorities. And these funds go into the basic infrastructure of our state. We started off talking about trails, but that's a very, very small portion of the bonding bill. The biggest portion is going towards basic infrastructure needs, whether we're talking about roads and bridges, or if we're talking about our colleges and our universities and that infrastructure, or we're talking about flood mitigation projects, which is a top priority of mine in this session and on the Capital Investment Committee. In the Red River Valley, we have real needs there in finishing up flood mitigation projects. So there are numerous types of infrastructure projects that we need to fund in order to protect our communities, in order to make sure that we're able to thrive economically into the future. And these are some of the most basic needs. We're talking about wastewater facilities and things of that nature. And so we need to invest in these things in order to make sure that our state remains strong economically.
And I want to follow up that with a question from a viewer in Saginaw who echoes something that you said earlier, Senator Thompson. This viewer is concerned about roads and bridges and road repair, particularly in greater Minnesota. And without getting into the specifics, the viewer thinks that perhaps we should be doing more in that area. Now, how do you respond to that concern?
I agree, and I feel that we have been falling behind in that area, and I do think that, and bonding is one way that we fund some of those road and bridge needs, but we also need to focus on the revenue that we need for roads and bridges generally, and we get our revenue through the gas tax, we get it through the motor vehicle sales tax, license fees. Those are the things that we get the money from, and those monies are dedicated. And I think it's important for people to realize that these monies are dedicated towards transportation, and we need to increase that revenue stream in order to ensure that we maintain our roads and bridges in Minnesota, and that's absolutely essential to our economic vitality as well.
So you would say that it's not just bonding where we need to be spending more on roads and bridges,
right?
But the general transportation budget, which of course would be a project for next year,
right? And the gas tax has been falling behind over the last many years because obviously it's not keeping up with inflation, the inflationary increases in the cost of maintaining roads and bridges, and so I do think something needs to be done there as well.
Well, the people in Kent's district, frankly, have gotten the shaft. And in the area where I grew up in East Grand Forks, because we've had a very metro-centric transportation program, but worse yet, it's focused on trains instead of automobiles. And so a lot of money that could have been spent creating more lane miles in the Twin Cities, creating safer roads in southern Minnesota, down on Highway 14, up in northwestern Minnesota, where Kent is from, where I grew up. We've been diverting some of that money into trains that frankly aren't being used. And if you poll the public, they are much more interested in lanes as opposed to trains. And so it's not just let's grab more money. There has been a net nearly $2 billion tax increase in this biennium, and $300 million in fees. We're taking plenty of money from the people. We've got to spend it more wisely. And Republicans have been saying, I've been saying all along, fix our roads and bridges, maintain them, build lane miles, make sure our greater Minnesota roads are safe. But the focus of power in the Twin Cities has been, no, let's build trains instead.
Well, I think it's important to note that the gas tax formula works well for rural Minnesota and for our area of the state. We get back more than what we put in, and we should, because we don't have the population base or the property tax base that's necessary to keep up with all the miles of roads that we have to maintain. So for us, it's a good deal, and we need to maintain that formula, which had been written, Representative Bernie Leder had a lot to do with the writing of that formula, and we need to maintain that type of structure for rural Minnesota to make sure that we get our fair share, and so for that reason, we do need to increase the amount of funding coming from the state, because if it doesn't come from the state, it falls back on property taxpayers, and that hits our area of the state the hardest. And that's what we've seen over the last 10 years until just this last year. This last year, we finally started to shift the burden away from property taxes. For the first time in over a decade, we've seen property taxes actually go down in the state of Minnesota. And that's good for rural Minnesota. So what we did last year really is a benefit for rural Minnesota, making sure that we start developing a fairer tax system that has a more equal burden across the state, instead of shifting so much of it onto our rural residents.
Oh, I have no idea where that number is coming from. Overall, property taxes went up about 1.5% in the state. Some people were beneficiaries, some people paid higher costs. 2/3 of Minnesota's 87 counties saw an increase in property taxes after this governor and the leadership in the Democratic legislature promised a reduction in property taxes. They haven't gone down. Now, that being said, Kent is right that we do need to support the infrastructure in greater Minnesota. And this is one of those issues, and you see this in the legislature frequently, where you don't have as much a Republican-Democrat breakdown as you have a greater Minnesota metro area breakdown. This is where, yes, I want to take care of the metro. I live in the metro, but we really need to take care of greater Minnesota, where they have every bit as much right to get their food and other things to market, and not to mention getting our farm products from greater Minnesota shipped where they need to be. So we've got to take care of that transportation problem. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate that property taxes did go down for the first time in a decade this year because of the efforts we made last year. And that's especially beneficial, again, for rural Minnesota, which I feel over the previous 10 years, prior to what we did last year, rural Minnesota was getting the shaft. But finally, we're getting a fair shake now. And I hope that we continue in this direction of making sure that we have a fair tax system that ensures that rural Minnesota is not the one that's being overly burdened with these property tax increases that we saw over the last decade.
And I gather there's some disagreement about that fact between the two of you about whether or not property taxes have gone down. Am I correct in that, Senator Thompson?
Yeah, I mean, what the Democrats are attempting to say is, well, we kind of gave it back in LGA. So we played the shell game. But the actual property tax number itself went up. That's math. It went up.
And you don't agree with that?
No, they went down, and it's partly because of the investments that we made in local government aid, which goes to cities out in rural Minnesota primarily.
But Ken, with all due respect, that's not property taxes going down. That's taking money out of one pocket and putting it in another. So the property tax problem wasn't fixed. It was just redistributed from somewhere else to try to give a net benefit. But the property tax burden itself in a vacuum has not gone down.
It has gone down, but I think it's important to note about LGA, local government aid, and also aid to counties and also assistance to our schools. All of that was really designed to ensure that even in rural Minnesota, where we don't have a large population and where we don't have a significant property tax base, we still have good quality services at an affordable price. And over the last 10 years, LGA was cut significantly, and that's why we saw property taxes go through the roof during those last 10 years. And it's also the cuts to our colleges. It's why we've seen tuition go through the roof. It's why we've seen fees going through the roof. We are finally now developing a fairer tax system that's less regressive and doesn't hit lower and middle income people in rural Minnesota so hard. And we need to continue that momentum, because we in rural Minnesota, we are not second-class citizens. We deserve to be treated as equals. And that's what the policies of last year finally started, was moving us in that direction of treating everybody in the state of Minnesota fairly and equally.
Senator Thompson, LGA, anything you want to say on that topic before we move on?
Well, sure. I mean, it's interesting. I agree with so much of what Kent is saying. It's just he's not willing to say why it's happened. The reason that the problems have existed with LGA for places, let's talk briefly about the purpose of LGA. Local government aid was put in place to help those towns and cities that have an insufficient tax base to meet their basic needs. So that's how it started, so that those towns would get help. Now the largest beneficiaries are Minneapolis, St. Paul, Duluth, because they've got the political power. So the reason that the towns in Kent's areas have taken a hit is so that we can give the money to Minneapolis, St. Paul, because we all know that there's no real estate to tax in Minneapolis, right? So the whole purpose for LGA was lost, and cities that weren't intended to be beneficiaries at all are sucking up the largest proportions of LGA, so the towns in Kent's areas are taking a bath on it. But that's not my fault. I don't believe in giving LGA to the towns and cities that don't need it. I believe in it for the places that need it. But the Democrats that control the legislature are by and large from the inner core metro area, and they get the money there.
Okay, the fact is that LGA primarily benefits the rural communities and cities of this state. And over the last 10 years, prior to us gaining control of the legislature, we've seen dramatic and drastic cuts to local government aid. It's shifted more and more of the tax burden onto rural Minnesota. We've seen our property taxes going through the roof, and we've seen funding for our services decline. It's a pay more and get less strategy, which is devastating for rural Minnesota. We're finally put an end to that. We've finally started to treat rural Minnesota equally under the tax policies of the last year. And I hope that we continue moving in that direction, start to rebuild what we've lost over those years. And we in rural Minnesota, for instance, I know there's some who think, we shouldn't be getting any assistance at all from the state, that feel that we're too small to justify having a nursing home or having a school or having a hospital in our communities. But I believe that it shouldn't matter where you live. You deserve to have good quality services at an affordable price, even if you're living in a more remote, sparsely populated area of the state like the one that I represent.
I don't know anybody in the legislature who believes that, Democrat or Republican, who would say that people in any of our towns are second-class citizens. I don't know. I've never heard anybody say anything like that. So if you've heard that, I'll have to defer to you. It certainly has never come out of my caucus.
I'm just saying certain policies are treating rural Minnesota as second-class citizens, and it's time for that to stop, and it's time to start treating all Minnesotans equally, and to make sure that even if we're living in a remote, sparsely populated area of the state, like I said, like my own, we deserve to have good quality services, a decent education for our kids. We deserve to have good quality health care for our citizens, good long-term care for our seniors, good roads and bridges for our communities, and that's what we're moving towards under the latest policies that we've been implementing.
And I agree with that. That's why I'm such an advocate for changing the education funding formula, because you are getting a bad deal relative to the central cities. Same old story.